Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Hope everybody is well. Hope you had a very good and relaxing Memorial Day weekend. I know that I did. I know that I did. Was just chilling with the family, enjoying life and all of that good stuff to come along with it. We are back. We are back. Listen. Let me first say this before I get to breaking down these games. This NBA conference finals have been disappointing. And I'll say disappointing for several reasons as we kind of get into it. First of all, I want to congratulate the Boston Celtics for making it to the NBA Finals. Get a girl. You done more than you just watching now. Yeah. Yeah, it's this NBA finals, this conference finals for me, get a girl. It's kind of taking some of the fun out of this playoff run, and it's been very enjoyable. A lot of good games, a lot of good action, but just the lack of drama, I guess. No pun intended. The lack of drama for these conference finals have left me wanting a little bit more. But first of all, I want to say congratulations to the Boston Celtics again for reaching to the NBA Finals. I would say this about Boston. Even though you are the NBA Finals, you are the number one seed for a reason. You had the best record in the league this year. I wouldn't be too confident. I wouldn't be too confident, overconfident, I would say, going into these NBA Finals, whether it be the Dallas Mavericks, who look like they're about to wrap up business tonight. How you doing, Dr. Nikki? Look like they're about to wrap up business tonight against the Minnesota team, and we'll talk about that series in just a second. But the Pacers, their shortcomings and their youth caught up with them, and how undisciplined they were at times caught up with them in this series. Because if you think about it, in 3 of the 4 games, even though they ended up getting swept, they had a lead, especially games 1 and 2 had a lead, um, and just couldn't hold it, Some of the mistakes that you saw with them getting caught up with the Knicks, allowing that series to go 7, it caught up to them. I'm not going to blame their sweep on losing Tyrese Halliburton in game 2 and missing games 3 and 4, because you was up by 18 in game 4. You had an opportunity in game 3. You was up then. Just guys, Pacers just made mistakes in the fourth quarter, and you can attribute that a lot of that to coaching, and coaching has played a very big role, especially in these conference finals, about teams making the right matchups, making the right calls, going with the right schemes, right players, right rotations. Boston just took advantage of the Pacers' proclivity, and you've seen this throughout their playoff run this year. Their proclivity to allow teams back in the games, especially get real sloppy in the fourth quarter, and it caught up with them. Um, and you got swept. I thought the series might go 6. I thought Indiana had an opportunity to take 2 games. They was in control and leading in 3 of them. Just couldn't close it out. I attribute a lot of that to Boston's coaching, because it wasn't like Boston played overwhelmingly good basketball through the course of those games, because the Pacers were able to get to their spots, get the points up, play at the pace that they wanted to play. Boston has had to kind of hang in there, and fourth quarter, Pacers make mistakes. Pacers turn the ball over, make silly fouls, take silly shots, and it caught up with them. I will say this about the Boston Celtics. We've talked about Jason Tatum possibly being the face of the NBA. I find it very interesting. That Jaylen Brown ends up winning Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I've said this throughout the course of the season. When they need somebody to step up and make the big time money plays, Jaylen Brown has always been that guy for Boston. Jason Tatum is a very good player. It's not to knock him, and I know. I don't know. We'll see, Gator Girl, because they've got some decisions to make in the off season. Pascal Siakam is a free agent. Will he re-sign with the Pacers? It sounds like it, but until your name is on the dotted line, we'll see. I think he's going to have a very good market out there. The Pacers can pay him the most money. They do reserve his rights. They can pay him the most money, but Pascal is in a situation where he can go to a contender that teams that have money and be a very key figure in that team getting over the hump. I'm, namely, let's talk about the teams out in the East. He will be a welcome addition. We're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers, who are, will be moving off Tobias Harris. Bring in a Pascal Siakam. Even if you're not able to get one of the tier one free agents in this class, I think Pascal games meshes well with Joel Embiid, and it'll allow, Pascal. Yeah, he is a free agent. He is a free agent. I think Philadelphia could be a possible landing spot for him. And there's a team that is ready, health willing to make a push in the Eastern Conference. I think if you put Siakam with Joel and Maxey, they will, be in a discussion for, one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. I see them even leapfrogging. I think Boston right now is kind of cemented themselves as number one. But I do see Philadelphia, if they're able to bring in Pascal, I can see them leapfrogging Milwaukee for the second best team in the Eastern Conference. So, that is a possibility. But, back to the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown, he's the big time money player. He's the big time money player, and I expect Jaylen Brown to have a very good NBA Finals to really cement himself in that upper echelon of NBA superstars in the league. And like I said, not a knock against Jason Tatum, but Tatum for me, he can get you there, but Jaylen Brown is got that factor, got that it factor. Especially when it comes to the playoffs and big games and big time moments, he's the guy, and that's why he was voted in as Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and rightfully deserved it. One thing I know about Jaylen Brown is going to play pretty good defense. I know Jaylen Brown is going to shoot a very good percentage from the field. It's not going to take a lot of ill-advised shots. Now he can be turnover prone. But I know Jaylen Brown gets to his spots, gets up good shots on a very consistent basis. And, as we've seen throughout this playoff run, when they needed a big time bucket, Jaylen Brown was the man. You saw that in game one against the Pacers with the game time shot at the end of regulation. But we'll talk more about Boston a little bit, but I really want to talk about what I'm seeing with Minnesota and Dallas. And not that I didn't give Dallas any credit. I thought this series might go 7, but I didn't think Minnesota was going to come out the gate and play as flat as they have. And I want to, kind of focus in on some of the coaching decisions made by Minnesota's head coach. Why in this particular series are you playing Gobert so many minutes? Now, I understand, he's defensive player of the year, key part of what, that got you here, key cog in that defense, the number one defense in the league in the regular season. I get that. But this is the playoffs. You have to be able to make adjustments. And sometimes making those adjustments means, a key starter gets less minutes. This has been a bad matchup defensively for Minnesota. This has been a bad matchup defensively for Minnesota. They are seeking Gobert out on a lot of these screen and rolls. And, you saw a little bit of Coach Finch, Minnesota's coach, trying to make an adjustment, but playing Naz Reid more minutes. I think he should have went to that a little bit earlier in the series. I wouldn't be surprised if Naz Reid gets a lot of minutes tonight, depending on how the flow of the game is going. But Minnesota has been kind of a disappointment. Kind of a disappointment. Some of the issues that they've had throughout the season, as far as the offense, has reared its ugly head. I'm not going to say that it's all because of Minnesota, because Dallas has a lot to do with that. Their defensive schemes, how they're switching off, and how they're forcing Anthony Edwards to expend a lot of energy, especially on both sides of the floor. I get you want to take on Kyrie, but I think you're burning up way too much energy, Anthony Edwards, by guarding Kyrie, and then being expected to lead the offense. I think that's too much pressure on him at this particular moment. I get it. It's just that youth, that arrogance. But you got to learn when to pick your spots. You got to learn what you pick your spots. Even the greatest did guard, the best player on the other team the entire time. You look at the Michael Jordan Bulls. Scottie Pippen was the primary defender on the league, on the other team's best perimeter player. Like, that's just kind of how to go. Michael Jordan would come up in spots, but you allow your best player, especially the guy that's responsible for creating the offense on the other side. Like you got to give him a break. Like I don't see why you got Anthony Edwards chasing down Kyrie, and Kyrie's giving him the business. Kyrie's giving him the business on the offensive end, and I think it's affecting him. Anthony Edwards on his when he goes to try to initiate offense, it's affecting him because he's spending so much energy chasing Kyrie, trying to keep up with him, and he's getting right now. Let's keep it a buck. He's getting cooked. I get PJ and Gafford going off like they have. I didn't see him going off like that. But like I said, we goes back to coaching adjustments. Gator girl, you got to be able to make adjustments. I'm surprised that Nas Reed hasn't gotten more minutes throughout this series. He's much more mobile as a big. And when you're talking about Gafford and PJ, these are not guys that are throw the ball into the post, and they're not Shaq. They're not Shaq. And I think this is a series where Gobert needed to be playing less minutes. I would have been starting Nas Reed from game one, seeing how they was this pick and roll and get Gobert out on the top, letting Luka cook, letting Kyrie cook on him, and it's gotten so bad that you even got the bench players waving off screens like I got Gobert, I'm finna cook him. And Gobert it was a key part of the Denver series, but that's you're playing against Jokic. You needed that big body because Jokic is a post player. Gafford is not really a post player. PJ Washington is not really a post player. Well, Dallas is, I agree with you. Dallas has been kind of janky from the free throw line, but I mean they're putting they're playing at their pace. If you watched all 3 games, I think game 4 is tonight. They've been playing at their pace. They dictated the flow of the game. I thought Karl Anthony Towns, hey man, stop jacking it up. Stop. I saw a post game commentary with him talking about he's putting up 1,500 shots a day. He don't understand why he's shooting. Like, why are you? I would be if I'm Karl Anthony. This is a series that he should have been feasting because they don't have anybody on that side of the court that can defend him when he wants to get down in the post and play bully ball. I understand where Cat, Gator girl. I tend to he's a big reason why the Wolves won't win this series. I think the series ends tonight. I'm already looking forward to an NBA Finals because. I might be going with the Dallas Mavericks, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, Cat is definitely a big reason why the Wolves won't win. Why is this dude still jacking up threes? Why is this dude? Yes, you have the ability to shoot them, but you're not Clay, you're not Steph, you're not Ray Allen from out there. When you get hot and you get streaky, yeah. But this is not a 3-point shooting contest. Just because you can, don't mean you should. You should be punishing Dallas. Dallas has no bigs. No bigs. They don't have anybody on that roster that can defend you when you want to take it down to the post and play bully ball. And I think Cat should have been playing bully ball from opening tip of game 1. Bully them. They don't have anybody on the inside. Make life easier for your perimeter players. I think if you had Cat down there dominating like he's capable of doing against what Dallas has as far as a front court is concerned, double teams are coming. I mean, these guys are getting wide open shots. Conley's getting wide open shots. Jaden McDaniel's getting wide open shots. Anthony Edwards is getting better looks because you're dominating down low. I thought Cat should have took the initiative and just played bully ball with these boys. But it goes, like I said, goes back to coaching. I understand, this is what got you here, but this is the playoffs. This is the conference finals. The deeper you get into the playoffs, the more you gotta adjust. I would have cut Gobert's minutes. Gobert would have came off the bench. He still would have gave about 25, 30 minutes of production coming off the bench, but Cat would have been my 5. I would have went with maybe Nas Reed as my 5 and put Cat at the 4. But I need some mobility amongst my bigs because that's what you have on Dallas' side when you're talking about PJ Washington and Gafford. Those are guys that are not going to be demanding the ball in the post and not going to back you down. They're there to space out the floor. especially PJ Washington with his range from 3 point. I think you need to, it goes back down to coaching. Yeah, I've never. Well, I mean, I kind of, in recent memory, I kind of have to agree with you on that. Gator, I've never seen a 7-footer that this wants to be a goddamn jump shooter. Just because you can, don't mean you should. Just because you can hit some buckets, just because you can hit some buckets from there, don't mean you should. You say I'm so hopeful to overcome Jimmy Butler slander, but he's proven Jimmy was on point with Cat. Jimmy was on point with Cat. Cat just for the life of me, I don't get it. To be that talented of a big man, yes, you can shoot the three. Yes, you have that range, but bully these boys. This is not the series for you to be jacking up threes. If you want to get help your teammates get threes up, that's what you do. But why the hell are you jacking up threes like that? And like I said, it goes back down to coaching. Anthony Edwards, I get it. You want to accept the challenge of guarding Kyrie, but I told you guys before this series starts that Kyrie is due for a breakout. He's been kind of like, pacing himself, choosing the spots here and there. But I said Kyrie is due for a breakout. And Kyrie's damn near averaging 30 for this series. Luka's got averaging about 35 for this series. They've been giving them headaches. They've been getting them in the pick and rolls, getting the bigs out there in space. Gobert looks like a fish out of water once he's outside of the paint. They know that. They've been seeking him out every time up the court. Anthony Edwards is working way too hard on defense, trying to slow down Kyrie. He, let that be an assignment for somebody else. If I'm Anthony Edwards, I'll be more apt to guard Luka. I'd be more apt to guard Luka. If I'm going to guard either one of them, I'm guarding Luka. Let Mike Conley chase around Kyrie, because he's more a facilitator on the other side. He's not the instrument that keeps the offense going. But we'll see what kind of attitude Minnesota comes out with tonight. I expect them to go all out, but I think it's over. I don't know, Gator Girl. I would attribute that to basketball maturity. I would attribute that to basketball maturity. You really haven't heard much from Kyrie this year. No controversial statements, no rumblings, nothing. You haven't heard anything from Kyrie. Kyrie's just like, I'm just here to play ball. And I don't think, people are, Luka is, one of the potential faces of the NBA. So I don't think people are looking at Kyrie in that same light. They don't look at that as a big two. They look at it as, Luka and then Kyrie. I think Kyrie's at that point in his life where he's cool with that. It kind of reminds me of him during his time with playing with LeBron James. You understand that, hey, I'm an alpha dog player, but it's a player on my team that is slightly better than me. Kyrie's still able to get his shots. Kyrie is still able to create. Facilitating the offense is not his prime. It's not his concern. I think when he was in Boston playing with those young pups that they had in Boston, I think they were expecting him to not only score but also be a facilitator for those young wing players that they had at the time. Talking about Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think the situation in Brooklyn. I think the off the court stuff really affected what was going on there, plus the injuries and stuff. But I think Kyrie is in a good space mentally. Like I said, you haven't heard much from Kyrie this year. You haven't heard much from Kyrie. When you think Dallas Mavericks, you think Luka, then Kyrie. And I think that's a big part of his success in Dallas. Like I said, if they lose, it doesn't fall on Kyrie. If they win, most people give Luka the credit, and rightfully so. When your guy's an MVP candidate for the last couple of years, I think he's kind of accepted his role, which is cool with me. As I look forward to this NBA Finals, I'm looking forward to this NBA Finals. I thought this conference finals was going to be a lot more entertaining than it was, but I think the NBA Finals should be a highly competitive um, series when we're talking about Dallas against Boston. Overall talent wise, Boston has the clear advantage. But when we're talking about guys making plays when it matters the most, when we're talking about the clutch players, Luka's got to be one. I will put Kyrie at two, and then you got Jalen, and then Jason. I think that series is going to come down to who is able to enforce their pace of play in that series. I think Kyrie could be due because I like Drew Holiday, but he ain't stopping Kyrie. I think they'll put Drew more so on Luka to kind of protect their wing players. But overall talent wise, Boston has the better roster. But based on how the teams are playing right now, you know, especially how good defensively Dallas has been, especially coming down the stretch of the season and in these playoffs. We think about shutting down Oklahoma, OKC, having a strategy to attack them, having a strategy to attack Minnesota, who a lot of people, including myself, picked to win this series. It'll be no pressure on Dallas going into that because all the pressure is going to be on Boston, whether it be Minnesota or Dallas that comes out of the West. But I think Lucas is primed to give them fits, and I think Kyrie is going to be a little extra motivated to cook Boston, considering their history. And I think that's going to be a very, very entertaining series because Boston, if you saw them against the Pacers, one thing I know about Dallas coming down the stretch, if they have leads, they don't turn the ball over. They're not making those mental mistakes that you saw that the Pacers make. Because I think I said Pacers had a lead in three of the four games in the fourth quarter. Just was not able to close out. And like I said, I wasn't going to put too much of the blame on Halliburton being out. Yes, he's an all-star, all NBA player, but they had an 18-point lead and choked it away without him on the court. I think Boston is primed to face a real serious challenge. I think they've kind of had an easy route to the NBA Finals, but I think Dallas is prepared to rise to the occasion. Not barring injuries, a healthy Dallas, a healthy Boston. Boston is the betting favor, but I would, based on how they're playing right now, I think Dallas is playing a tad bit better. I think Dallas is playing a tad bit better than Boston, so I would pick Dallas in the series. I think that series will go 6, but I think with how Luka is kind of locked in, and like I said, Kyrie is kind of woken up in this Minnesota series. Who do you put on him if you're Boston? I mean, Derek White's a pretty good defensive player, but he ain't stopping Luka. You don't want to put Jaylen Brown on because he's going to get in foul trouble. Same thing with Jason Tatum if you're guarding Luka, and Kyrie is going to cook whoever is guarding him. And I think what you have a PJ Washington out on the floor. Porzingis may or may not be back for the NBA Finals. We don't know. But do you really want Al Horford? Who has been your linchpin in the middle? As far as your defense is concerned, do you really want him chasing PJ Washington out there? We've seen PJ Washington have some very good games in this playoffs. It's a very, very good potential series that could go on in the NBA Finals. Like I said, I think Dallas closes it out, sweeps them. I think Minnesota's going to come out hard, but unless the head coach really makes some coaching changes in the past couple of days, it did something with the roster. I don't think you can play Gobert 35, 40 minutes. He's become a liability because they're seeking him out. They're seeking him out, getting him in a lot of one-on-one situations, especially at the top, away from the paint, and it's allowing Kyrie and Luka to cook. Minnesota had much better success with Naz Reid out there. He's a much more agile big man, but unless they make those coaching changes, the series is over. Like I said, it's been disappointing. I thought both series would go at least 6, but hey, you got to take it with how you take it. Keep my behind up out of here. As always, thank you for taking the time to listen a little on me. Like, share, subscribe, leave comments, and all that good stuff. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Getting ready to start rolling out as we wind down these NBA Finals. Getting ready to really start cranking up the football the football commentary. Caleb Williams. Just a side note, Caleb Williams hasn't been looking good in OTAs. Hasn't been looking good in OTAs. That's not really a good sign when we're talking about OTAs. Not really a good looking sign. He got pulled from first practice in OTA. Seven straight interceptions in drills. We'll see. We'll see. But like I said, the football content is getting ready to ramp up as we wind down with the NBA stuff. Hope to see y'all. I will be back on Thursday for that show. We'll probably be doing at that point, probably be doing a preview, real preview matchup of the NBA finals as we kind of get into that. Oh wow. Oh hey, okay. Well, I gotta look into that Gator Girl. But I will say this, Gator Girl. I know the MLB has really been and this is like on a video game side, have really been in integrating the Negro leagues back into the history of baseball. I've noticed that. I didn't know they was integrating their stats. But I do know, and especially the last two baseball games they put out, Negro League, they've had special like portions of the game dedicated to the Negro Leagues and the history. So I have been seeing that, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I got to do a little research on that. I think that's a good look. And it's important. Negro Leagues is part of baseball history. You know, regardless of what they may tell you, it really is. Yeah, and that's a deep dive, deeper of a dive of a story. But yeah, I like that. I keep making note of that. Gator Girl being helpful with future shows, co-host in her future. Yes, I see it. But anyway, let me get my behind up out of here, man. I hope y'all have a good evening and enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week. And it's summertime, man. Get out and enjoy life, man. Get out and enjoy life. End you off with the phrase that pays over here. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.